best of 3 against the Crew, then potentially Miami or Nashville. I think they just played, Miami just won 5-2, so it's kind of interesting they could potentially play 3 matches again. And then potentially after that, the only away match that we might have would be at Philly, which it's been really tough for this team to win there, especially, the way that Philly's been playing this year. So, if Sam, Orlando can upset Philly, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Or any team, that would be awesome. But then the final, like I mentioned, would be a home match if we make it. Like literally, if we just get to that point, we're hosting it at home. So I think as a coach, you simplify it as much as possible. You go game by game, find your best matchup, and just say you just have to find a way to win every single one. And that's the way we've done it the last 5 matches. So I think we can do it. But Sam, if FC Cincinnati is going to win the MLS Cup, what is the if? What is the if for us to win the Cup?
Yeah, to win the MLS Cup, FC Cincinnati, the defense needs to be airtight, and that's going to take the whole team, right? Obviously, we talked about probably going to be without Matt Miazga for at least the first round. So that means guys got to step up. And I think the midfield will be fine. We've seen Obi and Buka, step up when, they need to. And then I think for FC Cincinnati to win MLS Cup, you have to finish our chances. We have so much talent up front that finishing off those chances is going to be crucial, right? Especially when you want to put games away late. So those are probably the things that, we need to look at for if we win MLS Cup.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm on a lot of the same page. Like this team has been able to capitalize and get the lead, but from my standpoint, being able to keep the lead, so if we can get a lead early and keep it, best case scenario, this team late on in games has done well after the 75th minute with keeping leads, but not in the past. Like I think it was like the last 2 months where you'd kind of let in these goals. So I think if we want to do well, that is one of them. And then the defense has just got to be better. And lately it has been. But if we want to win, that's, I think the key is the defense. And then being able to utilize our subs in the correct way, I think is undervalued in this as well. Now that we have a little bit more depth, that'll kind of roll into my X factor here. So I don't want to go too quick. But Sam, if FC Cincinnati is going to lose in the first round, why do you think that would be the case? Let's hope that this doesn't happen. But what do you think?
I think obviously the first one I touched on was defense needs to be airtight. And if FC Cincinnati lose, it's going to be because they can't defend solidly. And they struggle to finish. It also could also mean that FC Cincinnati continues to get the injury bug, right? We've seen coming into this playoff series, if we lose, it's because we don't have that depth that we thought we would have, throughout the whole season, throughout July, in August during the transfer window, picking up those crucial depth pieces. I think also, like you had just mentioned, poor adjustments could also lead to it. We talked about Noonan ball and what that means, for throughout this whole season, throughout the tenure, right, with Pat Noonan. If we fail to make those specifically second half adjustments, we might be able to we might lose like first round, or maybe you get swept. So hopefully those things don't happen.
Yeah, well done. I don't really have a ton to add past that. Obviously, we know the history with this opponent and the matchup against Noonan and Nancy. So if that were to happen, I think it'd because one manager was able to adjust better than the other, and that's really what it's going to come down to in this one. But X factor for FC Cincinnati in the playoffs, Sam, who do you have?
Yeah, X factor isn't one player; it's the three-headed monster, right? Ooh. The three-headed monster of Evander, Denke, and Brenner. These 3 guys need to step up, and they need to step up in a big way, right? It's not, like I said, just one player. It's who steps up in those key moments, whether it be Denke scoring a late goal, Evander breaking, the deadlock, could single-handedly tip a series our favor.
Yeah, no, I like that. The three-headed monster is going to have to step up. Evander's going to have to be that guy. And then a hot Brenner as well. So my X factor is going to be a healthy Abina Wobodo. I think, you see him in this last match play 45 minutes. If this guy can play at the level that we know that he can, this team is going to make a far run. I feel fairly confident that, this will touch on to my next one, but that we have depth behind him. And now they've had, sustainable minutes to figure it out. But Obi is just that guy. And he's just a different force in the midfield, and he can be that X factor for us that for the rest of the season, Sam, we haven't had, for 4 months now.
Yeah.
And it's made a difference in that big stretch through August where we were letting in goals. So having Obi there to be that stopgap is going to be the X factor for me. I'm going to ask you this one. It might be related to what you had said maybe before, but biggest non-starter to impact this team.
Yeah, I think I've got two here. The first being, I think Jabari. Either, I guess three, maybe. Jabari and Kai Kamaro. Either one of those guys, because they're very similar, right? So, but if Jabari's healthy, you're probably going to go with him. But I'm looking for Jabari to be that aerial threat during these playoffs. I think, him being a non-starter, you come in, he can impact a game late, especially with those defenders that may have heavy legs, some tired legs throughout the second half. He can really, just explode into space and hopefully get his first goal for FC Cincinnati. The second player is Alvis Powell. I just say Alvis Powell because of his ability to play center back when we need him to, can play out wide with right wing back or right back, and he can impact the game that way, Ryan, with his versatility, right? As well as we could even see, one of his infamous runs, right? Maybe Alvis Powell streaking from the back line, making something happen in the attack.
It's a good answer. I like that. I'm also going to go with two. Brian Anunga ties into my fact that Obi's not all the way 100% yet. So if we get a lead and we want to keep it, then Anunga's got to come in and he's got to shut down the midfield. I don't feel confident, right at this point about Kubo being that person. Maybe it could be Giddey. I think Giddey is that guy that we might turn towards as well. So that was my first part. The second part, Sam, a non-traditional answer here, but Evan Leroux is for me going to be the biggest non-starter impact. And the reason why is he is an unbelievable PK stopper. So I think if this team is in a situation where it's 0-0 going down the stretch, we need to make some saves in PKs. They might sub in Evan Leroux to make some huge saves. And I think maybe swing the balance for the guys to move on. So something to look out for if we want to do that. I don't think we've done that yet, but I've seen other teams do it in the MLS.
Yeah, that's definitely a good shout. I think Leroux obviously played a big part down the stretch here, and we'd be, a little naive, right, to think that he couldn't play an impact in the playoffs, especially like you said, with his ability to stop PKs late game. But Ryan, let's get into it. I mean, the game itself, the series itself. Columbus Crew at home, this first game series so far this season has been 1-1, right? We won the first one. They won the second one. The last match, FC Cincinnati got out.
What's that? We tied. Didn't we tie the first one in Columbus?
We tied 2-2. You're right. We tied 2-2 first match.
And then lost.
Yeah, that's right. So 1-1.
Yeah.
And the last match, FC Cincinnati got out to a hot start, right? 2-0 lead, and then eventually lost 4-2, given some, own goals and then kind of a free pass goal. So could have been another 2-2 draw in that one. But since then, Ryan, since the last time we played them, FC Cincinnati has added Samuel Giddey, Ender Echenike, Brenner, Dominic Marzuk, Ayub Jabari. The Crew have only added 2 players since then, and one of their players is likely out for the season. As of September 24th, they were saying he could be out for the season, but he also could make a return for the playoff. So not sure there. But yeah, Ryan, I think these are 2 completely different teams, the last time they saw each other.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think every FC Cincinnati fan sees this matchup happen in real time on decision day, and it's just like, oh, well, here we go again, So let's write this different, let's go and just win in the way we should win. I think this team has won, 4 out of the last 5, unbeaten in 5. The Crew have won 1 in their last 5. It doesn't matter. It's literally every time we play this team, it's even, and it comes down to who wants it more. So I think, honestly, not to say it was the best thing for us to lose the way we did, but these players remember. And you mentioned there's a lot of new guys on the team. Brenner's been on this squad and has played in hell is
Oh yeah, he knows.
So I think that these guys will be even more motivated to put a stamp and say, like, look, this is not going to happen. And that's for me what's a little bit, unfortunate is that it's that Monday night game, that we're playing at 6:45. There's a lot of things that go against us having this huge, pregame, this build up, the Bailey getting up, but like we still got to go. We still got to perform. The fans got to show up and do what they do. And we just got to do it the right way. And hopefully we can get some guys healthy for it. But I'm just very optimistic in this one. Again, I don't know if my heart can handle, 3 games against the Crew in a week and a half or whatever it is. But yeah, it's nuts. It'll be a fun one by a long shot. It's going to be the best rivalry. I don't think have we seen rivalries like this do a best of 3?
I don't know. I don't know. Since
they
started the new format, I don't think so.
I don't think the LA teams have done it. NYCFC and Red Bulls haven't had a best of 3 in the playoffs, I don't think.
Well, I don't know if that one's up there with us, but
that's true.
But Ryan, FC Cincinnati, you talk about feeling optimistic. FC Cincinnati has won 4 out of their last 5, and the Crew have only won 1 game out of their last 5 matches. So obviously the it's kind of tipped in our favor a little bit, if you will. Obviously, we're the higher seed as well, for a reason. But I think in this match, Ryan, for me, look for Columbus to stay competitive throughout the first half there, and perhaps aim to go to PKs in an away match by kind of parking the bus a little bit. That's in my opinion. In
They
second half
possession dominant though.
I know. I'm just saying though. I could see them doing that so that way they could go back home and be able to put the icing on the cake, especially if they win in PKs, etc. But we did have a comment on YouTube, Ryan. I want you to answer this one. How does FC Cincinnati stop the likes of Diego Rossi, Darlington Nagbe, and Max Arston from beating us?
Well, I think that Rossi's been out for a bit, so he might just be getting back. Yeah, we got to have an answer. Like, we haven't had an answer for these guys. Nagbe's been the X factor for them. I think the last time we played in July, we didn't have Obi. So Obi being there will hopefully negate what Darlington Nagbe can do. And him and Buka's communication is going to be huge for that. Arston shooting down the wing. Like, yeah, that's a big question mark with who's that right back, because right now, is Ender going to be hurt? Is he going to be available for it? Who's going to mark him? Arston's had a hot run in the past year, but it's going to come down to communication. It's going to come down to us making sure that if we're going to press high, that they cannot beat us like they did, the last time, which was just they exposed our press and they adjusted to what we wanted to do. Like, we dominated, like you said, the first 30 minutes. And then Nance said, well, this is the way we're going to play, and kind of dictated the way that game went. So who's going to punch first and what's the counter punch, just like we said. So I think Obi, like, to be kind of simplify it, Obi is going to be crucial in this. And then the backline communication for sure in negating that as well.
Yeah, that's very, very fair. So Ryan, if you want, when we kind of touched on lineup a little bit, as far as, in storylines and in this kind of preview. So we'll straight to predictions. What do you have for not only this game, but what do you have for the series?
Oh, we're going series as well. Wow. Okay. 1-0 victory at home, game 1. I think just safe 1-0 victory. I think game 2 is going to go to PKs, and we'll win in PKs personally. And I think we win in 2 that way, and hopefully just say, hey, let's give the boys a little bit of a break. Because if you play that third match, you're kind of at a disadvantage if other teams go through in 2.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So I've got FC Cincinnati winning this first game 2-1. I think it'll be a close game. Eventually, I think FC Cincinnati will win in 3. I think when we go back to Columbus, they're going to fix some things and be able to get one on us. But I think we close it out at home with probably like a 1-0 victory, right? I think you keep it simple. You play Pat Noonan ball. You win by 1 goal, throughout this, first round, and we move on to the next round.
Yeah, I'm hopeful again. Like, if we're gonna do it, we have to be confident in our finishing. Like, absolutely, the way we've been at the end of the season, we've had sustainable leads in a few matches, and we've let the other teams back in it, and that's been the trend in some of the recent Columbus matches as well. So the messaging, I think, from the coaching staff is like, play the same way you've been in these games. Like, you've come out with great energy. It's just you can't amp yourself up so much that you don't have the reserve for the rest of it. I think that's an underrated part about this as well, Sam, is you're playing your rival 3 times in a row in this short time, potentially. So if you show all your cards right away, it might leave you a little bit more exposed.
Oh
So
yeah.
the X factor in it could be like, do we start Giddy in a game because they're not really as familiar with him? Or do you go big with a Jabari or something like that? I don't know. I think obviously your 3-headed monster you got to stick with. But late on in the match, like Sam had mentioned, like Jabari could be a huge impact for the team and a crew team that's just been letting in goals. So I think that would be very valuable for us. But it's all negated, Sam. It's like looking at teams that are 2 seed and 7 seed and saying these guys could very well be 3 seeds together. Like
Oh yeah.
it doesn't matter what the seeding is really at
Yeah.
this point. And I think any of the Eastern Conference matchups, like the seeding is kind of irrelevant. All the teams are so close in their capabilities. There's very subtle differences in why other teams have been good, but the runs of form lately, the health of the teams, like all that is huge if you want to make an MLS playoff run. Does our way of playing bode well for a cup run, Sam? Do you think like Noonan ball is sustainable for that? What are your thoughts?
I think we touched a little bit on this, a couple weeks ago, as we started getting closer to the playoffs, right? As we're continuing to win by 1 goal, and finally, you see this last match, we went 3-0,
Right.
right? So we pushed it, and Pat Noonan, kind of put those players in to be able to continue to get another goal, right? Which, once again, that may have just been the lack of quality against a team like CF Montreal, but at the same time, you're seeing FC Cincinnati, a new FC Cincinnati going into the playoffs that is willing to go score, right? And my hope would be that continues, right? We pushed the limit. I would rather say, oh my gosh, FC Cincinnati had all these chances and we just weren't able to convert, rather than, oh my gosh, Columbus Crew is really taking it to us and we couldn't get out of
Yeah.
our own half. So I would rather have the first part there.
Yeah, for sure. I think the way, the mentality, the mindset of it has to be just like go and play your game, do what you got to do. I think in the game in July, Sam, they made it really difficult for Evander by pushing him around, fouling him, and he kind of got into it with the center referee to make some calls, for us, or against them. So look for that to be kind of an underrated part of this, is that if they're a little bit underrated in this matchup and based on availability, if we have maybe that little bit of the upper hand, do they play a little bit more chippy and try to get in our head that way, and kind of set us off of our game? So again, the preparation, hopefully the way that we played the last game against them is, again, looking back at it now and saying like, this can't happen. We gotta find a way to win. And then if you look past that, then potentially Miami, but that's another animal. Hopefully, we can get through this run of 3.